I have published a thread on my X account at Real Stu Peters, and if you go there, you can find this thread. And I go over the top 15 names that were mentioned in the combined Epstein files from the Department of Justice and the Epstein estate. And number one on the list is Donald Trump. More than 4,500 official mentions. We've seen people say 5,267, 5,333. We've seen all kinds of different numbers thrown around, but there are over 4,500 confirmed official mentions of Donald Trump. Emails bragging about Epstein's insight into Trump scandals, FBI tips alleging underage assaults, flight logs from the 1990s, and gossip about Donald Trump's family. So over 4,500 mentions. These are the ones that we have gotten to, and I'm going to show our TV viewing audience what this thread looks like, and we can go down the list of these things together. But if you go to the second one, hold on, where's the second one? Yeah, you have to go into the comments. Number 2, Prince Andrew. Number 3, Bill Clinton. Flight logs, photos with young women, Epstein's quip about Clinton liking them young. Social ties, post-conviction, there's Epstein and Bill Clinton on the screen. Steve Tisch, over 400 mentions of Steve Tisch, emails arranging dates with young women, follow-ups on precautions. He is the Jewish owner of the New York Giants, entangled in Epstein's pimping web, and of course downplayed by Hollywood networks. And I've gone through all of this that you can find over at realstupeters.com on Twitter or X. Bill Gates, number 5, over 200 mentions of Bill Gates. Draft emails that allege affairs, drug use for sex with Russians. I mean, these people are a depraved, vile group of demons. Alan Dershowitz, famous Trump attorney. Flight logs, contacts, settled lawsuits. The Jewish attorney with Epstein ties, often defending Epstein himself. Elon Musk, number 7, over 100 mentions, emails about the wildest party on the island, helicopter flights. Now, to his credit, Elon Musk denied visits. But why was he involved in Epstein's circle? Why was he getting the invites in the first place? Number 8, Howard Lutnick. You'll recognize Howard Lutnick. If you don't, just tune into a press conference that's given by Donald Trump. You might remember the one where he was standing on the tarmac and telling you that he didn't want your support anymore and that he didn't want you asking him any more questions about Epstein. If you were to ask about Epstein, he didn't want your support anymore. He doesn't want your support if you want to know about Jeffrey Epstein blackmailing and compromising high-ranking government officials. If you want to ask questions about that to the President of the United States, he no longer wants your support. The guy that was snickering and sneering behind him, it was this big nose. It was Howard Lutnick. That's who that was, standing behind him, snickering and sneering and laughing about the Epstein files, laughing about raping kids, laughing about compromising high-ranking government officials and bureaucrats and people in Hollywood and people in the media, big banking and finance executives, laughing about that. Howard Lutnick, over 80 mentions. And I go through this all the way down to number 15. Larry Summers is on this list. Steve Bannon, who always looks like he just crawled out of a dumpster somewhere. Roger Stone affectionately refers to Steve Bannon as Stinky Steve. He just looks like he stinks. He's a greaseball. Doesn't surprise me at all that you will find his name mentioned over 80 times. Michael Wolff, who Donald Trump now says that he's considering suing. This is the Trump biographer mentioned over 45 times. Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir. He's going to usher in the super surveillance state. This is J.D. Vance's money guy. This is the guy who made J.D. Vance. You know, the country bumpkin that looks just like you. He wears the corduroys just like the guys in northern Wisconsin do before they go ice fishing on Rice Lake. Yeah, there, don't you know? He can relate to you. You can relate to that guy, J.D. Vance. Yep, just put on the checkered shirt, whatever the hell you call those things. I forget now, those red and black checkered shirts. Yeah, just the Paul Bunyan shirt. Throw that thing on. Get yourself a man bod and a beer gut. You could chum it up with a guy like J.D. Vance. He's not threatening. He's non-threatening. Peter Thiel, quite arguably one of the most dangerous people on the face of the planet. That's who made J.D. Vance. And they held a gun to Trump's head to pick J.D. Vance as his vice presidential running mate because they know that J.D. Vance unequivocally will be Donald Trump's predecessor, barring any kind of, unpredicted death or some kind of extenuating circumstances. J.D. Vance is going to slide right into that position behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office at the White House, the commander-in-chief. And they're setting all of this up to usher in the Palantir surveillance state, which they would love to deploy right now. And if Americans would just support it just a little more, as ICE cracks down on these left-wing lunatics in cities like Minneapolis. These guys are IDF trained, and the two people that shot this Alex Preddy don't even have American names? They're like Gonzalez. These people are foreigners trained by the IDF, wearing badges that represent the occupied pedophilic federal government of the United States, foreigners going into our streets to assassinate, to kill, to murder American citizens, and tell you that this is all about mass deportations. And then people will be in my X feed dragging me because I don't believe that these IDF-trained foreigners should be in my city executing Americans who are lawfully and legally carrying the firearms that they lawfully and legally acquired. That Peter Thiel. That Peter Thiel is mentioned over 40 times in the Epstein files, but nobody is mentioned more than Donald Trump. Yet you will find people like Alex Jones who will talk about everybody who's implicated in these Epstein files except for Donald Trump. Everybody's guilty except for Donald Trump. And just posting these objectually true, factual statistics and numbers on my X has people exploding, dragging me. I'm anti-American. These people are on private jets and in hotel rooms and in offices and at banks and in Hollywood. These people are raping children to use it as blackmail material over our entire government. And all of the unelected bureaucrats that run all of these bureaucracies that decide when we're going to go drop bombs and on whom, when we're going to effect regime change and on whom, how many young American men are going to be sent here or there or to every corner of the earth to go and die. In wars, in interventions, in kinetic conflicts, in regime changes all over the world. That's your political class. Those are the unelected bureaucrats who are deciding who's going to be mandated to take a vaccine. And it doesn't matter if it was Biden or Trump. So miss me with the whole, if Biden had access to all of this, why wouldn't he have released it if it's so authentic, Stu? Because he's a pedophile. Because Joe Biden is a pedophile. And there's a reason why these particular files, these millions of pages, this tranche of information specifically was dumped. And there's a reason why, despite thousands of employees being hired and tasked with the responsibility of just redacting Donald Trump from all of this, yet still he's mentioned over 4,500 times officially. There's a reason for that. The people that are controlling Donald Trump, whether willingly or unwillingly or against his will with a gun to his head or a gun to the head of his family.
I know many of you won't like what I'm about to say on this stream, but the truth needs to be heard.
They said free speech, then shut down your mic.
Who knows? He married his daughter off into these people, Jared Kushner. Who knows what this guy's willing to do? Is he willing to go and kill millions of people? Is he willing to go and invade all of these other countries? Well, it looks that way. And the reason why this list came out right now is because Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli regime, the expansionist Talmudists, need to knock over Iran so they can accomplish their conquest of Greater Israel. I mean, I don't know if it's because I am so close to God that I have this gift of discernment that's unmatched by any, or if this is just so obviously, blindingly, glaringly, just smacking me in the face. It should be you as well. So I get frustrated. I'm thinking to myself, where are these people coming from? And so we're going to have to get really uncomfortable. We're going to have very uncomfortable conversations about who was where and doing what with kids on tape. And then at that point, collectively, I guess the decision is going to be left to the masses. What are we going to do about it? Well, somebody has already thought about that. Our good friend, Dr. Michael Rechtenwald, founded AZAPAC, which is an uncomfortable conversation for everybody in Washington, D.C. to have because it's a legitimate PAC that actually backs somebody who has a platform. I'm not with these people. All the people that are named in these files, yeah, I'm not with them. All the people that are controlling our bureaucracies, yeah, I'm not with them. The people who are you seriously using and draining Americans economically, financially, every single day in this country, yeah, I'm not with those people. The people who put the pornographic materials on the shelves at your children's school, yeah, I'm not with those people. And that's my platform. You're going to see platforms, you're going to see campaigns that are focused solely on this issue, much to the unwishes of people like Tim Pool, who say that this is still a fringe conversation to be having. We did a whole documentary that was just an introductory level 101. As you know, there's Europa that goes on for 16 hours. I did Occupied in less than 90 minutes as a 101 introduction to all of this. This is not fringe. It's mainstream. It's real. This is really happening. Satanic pedophiles really are controlling the world. And we have to get out of that system. If this country is to even think of surviving, if we're going to have serious discussions about remedy and solutions, if we're going to really be talking realistically about reclamation, then we have to be honest with ourselves about who it is that's pretending to run this country in the first place. And I want them out. I want them out. And if you agree with that, if you're feeling that, if that's triggering the vibe that you're in right now, if you want them out, we currently have a viable mechanism to help to propel the platforms of the people who are saying, yeah, I'm not with them. I'm not in bed with these people. I don't serve these people. I serve my country and I serve its people. And AZAPAC, which is a legitimate PAC, is funding those people using your money. Just like you would contribute to any other cause, you would contribute to AZAPAC. You would say, yeah, you know what? I feel like this is worth my $100. $110 is all I'm able to scrape together. Maybe it's just $271,000. Maybe some of you out there have $6 million. And you feel like, well, it's kind of crunch time, isn't it? You've taken a look at these files and you're thinking to yourself, oh, shit. We're about to send tens of thousands of young Americans to go and die in a war with Iran that does nothing to benefit the national security or economic interests of this country. And it will not be unlike any other confrontation, kinetic conflict, regime change, intervention, or full-blown war that we have been in every single year since 1937. There's not a year since 1937 that we have not sent young American men in any number to go and die somewhere in some war or some conflict that does nothing to benefit you and your children. And it's time for that shit to stop. I'm not with these people. If you're not with these people, AZAPAC is a means. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to bring Dr. Michael Rechtenwald on. He is the founder of AZAPAC, and he has a lot to say about this. Your take on